Hello everyone, back to the John Deere B stripped down, and first off I apologise for the last video, and the camera ran out of electric as they do, but the decision was in the end I was going to take the crankshaft out and I'm going to leave the block in for the reasons I stated in the last video. And so I set on to take the crankshaft out, and the first problem I came across was the flywheel on this tractor was extremely tight. It's very tight. I started to think it was because it was an electric start, because all the other ones I've rebuilt are hand start tractors. But in the end I think it was just the fact that it's not been off in a long time. I had to use a 20-ton puller to pull it off. It eventually gave. I did mark it so I knew exactly where it went back on, but of course there is a key screw on the crankshaft which engages with that keyway at the end of the screwdriver there, so you can't really get it wrong when you put it back together. The screw I'm talking about is that one there. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. So it engages with that cut out on the flywheel. Obviously all these things have to go back together correctly to keep the balance of the crankshaft in play. So we started to strip the clutch down and pulley, and so I've slackened all the bolts off, so hopefully this will come out and you can see the parts of it as it comes out. Put the light on. There we go. So the first job we do is strip off these. Well, the first job we did was take all the cotter pins out. So there's 3 cotter pins in the little bolt nuts and 1 in the big one. So we took these off, like so. Put them to one side. Take this first clutch plate off with the springs on, this one here, and then the driven plate, sorry, the friction plate, which are pretty worn on this. There's been obviously oil leaking a little bit into this one, so we took them off, and then we took the big nut off the end of the crankshaft. And fortunately with this one, the driven plate was actually already slack, which is not ideal. They should be extremely tight on there. Okay, it was already slack, so we removed this. Now this does have in itself its own little indicator where it's to be. There's a rivet there in the driven plate which holds a little piece on inside the splines here, which engages on a cutout on the end of the crankshaft, which is that fella there. So there's the driven plate, there's the other friction plate. All these parts up to now are looking fairly good nick, apart from I probably will put new driven clutch plates in, friction plates. Remember as well with these things, I suspect these friction plates are full of asbestos, which is not very healthy material. Unfortunate here, or unfortunate as I say, we have had an oil leak, so it's all the dust is pretty well gummed up, so there's not much dust, but be careful when you come to paint plates. And so once we do that, by rights, the pulley should just pull off. So I'm going to pull that off now. There we go, out it comes. And there it is. And that is the end of the crankshaft, that piece there. So it's difficult to say if it's in good nick at the moment, but doesn't look too worn. Let's get the torch. One of the biggest misconceptions with these pulleys is there's a bush there that bush, and that runs on the crankshaft. That is lubricated with engine oil. But on the other end is a bearing. On the other end of the pulley, inside the pulley is a bearing, and that has to be repacked with grease every so often. This one actually does sound a bit dry when I was spinning it over, so I'll repack that with grease. So the next thing to do, or the next thing I'm going to do anyway, is to take this cover off. This big cover goes all the way back to that brake drum, and we can see the big gear, the first reduction gear inside there. We'll have a bearing underneath this cap here to remove, but the first thing before we can do to take that cover off is actually to remove this brake drum piece here, because the cover won't come past these two parts. And so that's the next job really. When I took the actual clutch, I forget the name of this piece, coming to me in a minute, but that activates the clutch in and out inside this piece here. When I took that out, I did notice that the first reduction gear, see those teeth, it does seem to be running very tight to the side of the cover, which is unusual. So we shall have to see what that's about. There, that's what we're going to do next. Remove that cover, brake drum and the crankshaft, then we'll eventually slide out. Very good.